Okay, Mr. Rose, if you can check your mic and camera, please.
There it is. Can you hear me and can you see me?
We can see and hear you. And we have we have all board members here. We're going to have 2 absent, so I think we have them all. Yep, we do.
So it's about that time. Let's turn on our cameras and get ready to roll. Patty, I have 4:30, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is that cool?
We are ready.
All right. So it's 4:30. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Santa Rosa Design Review Board to order. I'd just like to remind everyone why we're in this virtual environment due to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Orders N2520 and N2920, which suspend certain requirements of the Brown Act and the order of the Health Officer of the County of Sonoma to shelter in place to minimize the spread of COVID-19. The Design Review Board will be participating via Zoom webinar. Members of the public can participate in the meeting virtually by going to www.zoom.us, joining the meeting. The meeting ID is 948-0971-1719, or call toll-free by telephone 877-853-5257 and enter the meeting number ID I just read. You can also watch the meeting on the city's website being live streamed, and it is also available on Comcast Channel 28 and also on the City of Santa Rosa's YouTube channel. Okay. So Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, let the record reflect that all board members are present except for Vice Chair Hedgepeth and Board Member Sharon, and that we also have a new Board Member Wolski, in attendance today.
Awesome. Thank you, Recording Secretary. And we'll get to the new board member here in a minute. Let's do the approval of the minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look at the draft June 3, 2021 minutes? Does anybody have any issues with those minutes? Is everything accurately portrayed? Henry?
The item 8.1, I believe, was the first item, and bullet point 8. I know these are condensed minutes of what we said. I thought we also gave them kind of the option to go terracotta or bronze, and maybe that fits in the spirit of earthy and natural, but just wanted to get your feeling on that, Chairman.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're going to see it again, so I think we were pretty clear in our comments, and what's reflected here, I think, is accurate in terms of what we were talking about. That's just my opinion. Anybody else on that?
I struggled a little bit with it too, just the same as I struggled when we were in the meeting, and I still couldn't do better in the 5 minutes that I had to look at the minutes. I think, again, I also believe, and Henry, I hope you do too, that Board Member Wicks, that the point was well made, and I hope we didn't project an image that's going to come back as a moss green and sunset yellow. But I think we got the point across, and I'm not sure if we can improve the minutes or not. But I thought about it as well. So,
Bill, do you have a thought on that, on how to maybe improve the minutes since you popped on there?
You know, we could add a clarification if you think one would improve it. I tend to share Board Member Birch's comments. I don't know what more we could actually add, but I feel the fact that it's coming back to the board gives me comfort that I think we can address this. So I think we probably got it as close as we're going to get it. My fear was that we
Go ahead, Henry.
You muted, Henry.
How about now? My fear was that just like board member Birch just said that we would get something back, but I as long as they don't go by the minutes, in which I doubt they will, I think they'll probably remember what we said, and if they had any doubts, they could go back and hit the replay on the video. So maybe it's fine, but I just struggled with earthy and natural. I mean it as the summary. I just don't want them to think that they can't use the Alucobond panels and come back with something that fits in the range of that product. So
we could put in parentheses such as terracotta or bronze. We could put something like that. We could add a little bit to it if you'd like. Yeah,
I would agree. I think let's put parentheses, and we could say such as terracotta, bronze, Corten steel, other weathered metals, that type of thing. Does that capture, Michael and Henry, kind of what you guys were thinking?
Yeah, where were you 2 weeks ago?
What do you mean? Where was I? I was there. I said this. I said Corten steel. I said, I said all sorts of stuff.
So, yeah. I think that a little more of a litany of what the pieces of what those items could be would be helpful. And I do hope that they heard and understood the direction, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I do think that getting those materials into the minutes would be helpful for us.
I think also there was a comment specifically about the materials, and Michael, I think it came from you that might behoove us to add as well on that line item. You were talking specifically about how that location is an entry point to the city, right from the south. It's on the edge of our urban growth boundary, and I think the materiality is critical to that, right? In terms of what you're saying, we got to get it right because it is that kind of gateway location. I don't know how we would reflect that in that comment because it was kind of all wrapped together with the materiality of it all.
And further to Henry's point, we were very encouraging that there is a wide range of materials in the aluminum, brake metal, panel, rain screen variety, cost points, different. Drew, you especially threw out 3 brand names. It's not a Alucobond or a brake metal material or a rain screen material specifically. It was the color selection, and I think not having a clear enough idea of what the material was or its reflectivity. So it seems like a quick addition of the list of colors, maybe a note about the importance of the materiality of the building based on its entry point location into the city, and that select from a wide range of materials available for rain screens and brake metal building. I don't know, just if we want to get real specific, I think we could do a little bit more than maybe what's there. It's a good point, Henry.
I just want to be careful that we're not kind of rehashing it since it's not particularly on the agenda. We just need to capture what was stated. So we could also direct the applicant back to the minutes or to the video. They can get verbatim what was said. I would recommend just a brief summary, like we said in parentheses, terracotta, bronze, Corten as an example.
With a matte finish, Bill, you're spot on.
All right, we can do that. Those items were discussed. So we can say terracotta, bronze, Corten with a matte finish, and we'll just put that in parentheses.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Thanks.
Excellent. All right. So with that addition, hearing no other commentary on the minutes, I guess we'll have approval of the minutes. Now we'll move on to public comment. This is where we open up for public comment on any item not on tonight's agenda. Members of the public may speak on items not on our agenda, but germane to our purview. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak at this time?
Chair Weigel, we have no public attending at this point. No hands raised.
Well, then we'll close public comment then. Item 4, board business. This is where we read the purview and review authority of the Design Review Board from Zoning Code Chapter 20, 52030F, project review. The review authority shall consider the location, design, site plan configuration, and the overall effect of the proposed project upon surrounding properties and the city in general. Review shall be conducted by comparing the proposed project to the general plan, any applicable specific plan, applicable zoning code standards, and the requirements, consistency of the project within the city's design guidelines, architectural criteria for special areas, and other applicable city requirements, e.g. city's policy statements and development plans. Does anybody have any board business? Item 5. Seeing none, I'll move to department reports. Interim Deputy Director Bill Rose, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Weigel, members of the board. It's nice to see you all. Just one item for tonight, and it's I'd like to introduce our newest board member, Sheila Wolski. Welcome, Sheila. It's nice to have you. Sheila comes to us from the town of Windsor. She's a city planner there, so it's nice to have a fellow planner on the board. We really look forward to your tenure and your service. We hope that you'll like it. We had a chance to talk earlier today, and I'll just echo for the board what we discussed, which is we really want to make this a meaningful experience for you, for our customers as well. So we strive to make sure you have the materials that you need. And please reach out to any of the staff members ahead of time if you'd like, so we can make sure that that happens. So welcome aboard. It's really nice to have you, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome.
Welcome. And Sheila, is there anything that you'd like to say at this time?
Not too much. I just wanted to acknowledge Councilmember Alvarez for the appointment and city staff for moving so darn quickly with this. I was responding to a city newsletter that said there are vacancies on boards, and I've been following this one for a number of years. And so I think I put in my application last week, and I'm here today. So Patty Pacheco-Gregg did a great job, and so did Tara Norman getting me ready for tonight. Lived in the city for 34 years and been with Windsor for 16 years, working in their planning department. And I enjoy planning and serving the public, which you all do here. So I'm just looking forward to learning from my fellow board members' expertise and speaking better in the future.
Well, thanks so much. I'm excited. We have a full board. We haven't had a full board for a little while here, so it's nice to have our seven members now. We're full up, which is great. So looking forward to that, and thank you for your volunteerism to join our board. We appreciate it. Anything else, Bill, or was that it? That was it? Okay.
Nope, that's it for tonight.
Cool. And then number 7, statements of abstention. I don't think we would have any on the scheduled item, considering it's a report on the general plan. And so we'll move on to item 8.1, report on the Santa Rosa general plan update and input on the Santa Rosa forward vision statement. And with that, I will turn it over to Supervising Planner Amy Lyle.
Great. Thank you so much. Good evening. And welcome, new board member Wolski. Nice to see that City of Santa Rosa background on you there. So this evening, I'm actually covering for Andy, who's at the, who actually might be joining us shortly because he's just finishing a presentation to our bike and pedestrian board. But we are making the rounds and wanting to have a conversation with you all about our general plan update. So hopefully this is a little bit different than what you're used to, and we can have a good discussion about some of the work that we're doing on the policy side. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get the presentation started here. All right, so we're going to provide a little bit of a presentation overview on what is happening with the general plan update, and then go into a little bit of a conversation or workshop around what you all want to see as far as the future of Santa Rosa. So we'll just start off talking generally about what the general plan is. But it really is the constitution for all land use. It's the overarching policy document. All our zoning code, specific plans, guidelines come from our general plan. it's a little bit of a once in a lifetime opportunity as an urban planner because it only happens once every 10 years if you have the funding. And we're very blessed here in Santa Rosa to have a well-funded general plan. So we're really excited to be kicking this off. So the general plan really looks at the city on like a 30,000 foot level. So how our communities are interwoven. So the circulation network, the land uses, open spaces, all of those features that you think of when you think of the city and your community. But it's not just the built environment. We're also looking at the social aspects as well. So we're also looking at jobs and education and being able to age in place and civic engagement and opportunities to be part of government decisions as well. So our general plan process, we have coined Santa Rosa Forward. So it is branded. We do have a great website available, but this is the opportunity to kind of rethink where we want to be. And our horizon year is 2050. So this is just an overview of where we're at in the schedule. So we're still at the beginning stage. So I'm going to go through what we've accomplished so far. But we are at the very beginning as far as asking the community what the vision is. And setting that vision is really vital for the rest of the project because this fall we will be going into alternatives. So setting up circulation and land use alternatives. And then we'll get into those really intricate policy discussions and environmental review. And I think Andy is on. Patty, if you're able to promote him, we might tag team this presentation a little bit here. And I also just wanted to note with this general plan effort, it also serves as an update to our housing element and our climate action plan. We're also updating our safety element, and due to a new state law, we are including environmental justice as a new element. And then we also have a grant from Kaiser Permanente to do additional outreach to our vulnerable communities, as well as to infuse health policy. So we've hired an equity and public health planner. Her name is Beatrice. And so she's really fantastic and is helping us do that extra engagement work. And so there will be more to this general plan effort than what we've done in the past. And also, as we know, Roseland is part of our city now. So it really is a chance to kind of revisit and rethink the community as a whole. Andy, are you on yet? You are. Do you want to take over right here for us?
I'm here. I was enjoying your show. I can easily sit back, but I certainly can help out.
Let me just introduce you real quickly. I'm sure some of you know Andy, but Andy is a senior planner on our advanced planning team, and he is our project manager for the general plan. And between him and I and Beatrice, we've been doing quite a road show. This is our second or third presentation of the day today. So I will let him carry on with this, and I'll pick up the presentation again when we get into our visioning statements.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thanks,
Amy. For me, thank you for allowing this opportunity to present the general plan update, or as you may have already learned, our Santa Rosa Forward project. Part of our outreach is not just to the community, but also to a focus group. And we have formed a community advisory committee. And we were very pleased to be able to seat members who really represent the diverse neighborhoods and interests in the community in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, interests. And this group is going to be really vital to help us throughout the program, throughout the 3 years, to give us input as we're delivering projects or products to the public for review. They will also serve a vital role to help us get the word out. They will serve as liaisons and reach the community in a way that we, project team, cannot possibly do. They will multiply our ability to extend the information out to the city. Next slide. In addition, we do have a technical advisory committee, and that committee is formed of members who are representing city departments and also what I call responsible agencies. It's our our partners or our peers, colleagues at the county, sub-regional agencies who will review our work product to make sure we get the technical details right. After all, the general plan does have a number of technical components like traffic studies and wastewater generation, all that. We need to make sure we get it right, and they are part of the process. They helped us at the onset of the visioning process to really look forward to see what they saw were the big issues facing the city and opportunities that we had. So they will be continuing to operate or help us, but they helped us now with this set of vision statements that Amy will present to you shortly. Thank you. So you need to know a couple things from my point of view. Bookmark santarosaforward.com. It is a project website. We have all our documents that are released for review will be posted there. And it has a schedule and then just information that can help fulfill or enrich your understanding of the general plan and why it's a important and consequential document. We do have there also a comment form. You can send us email, and we will be periodically putting out surveys. We have one running right now, and you may have Amy may have mentioned that we do have a vision survey that you are encouraged to fill out. Next slide. At the start of this phase of the vision statement formulation, we set up 10 workshop meetings. They were held in each of our city council member districts throughout the city. They were virtual meetings. We did have 3 Spanish-only language meetings, and that was our first broad public outreach for starting the conversation on the vision statements. And so they went through, the public went through the exercise you're going through this evening. Thank you. Next slide.
And Andy, if you don't mind, I would also just note that we have been challenged to have to do engagement on this effort virtually. So we've been doing our absolute best. And not only did we do those vision workshops with the district, at the district level, we've been going to organizations at their meetings, and sometimes their meetings are in person. So that's been really fantastic, but it's been very challenging. So the next round, we hope to do more in-person work.
Right, and that's an important point that Amy brings up. I mean, ordinarily, so much of the information we collect is full of nuance and how people react to and express issues. Our consultant team has a lot of experience in public engagement, and like us, are experimenting, and they have some tools that you see here that they use during their district workshop, our district workshop meetings, I should say, to help record and collect the comments in a way that begin to fill up these different words or vision principles. Next slide. We did have a survey issued last February, and that was initially asking a couple of important questions. We wanted some contact information. We were inviting people to get updates on the general plan, and we were asking them how we might best contact them throughout the process or program. But one of the very interesting things we asked is, how do people define their centers of their neighborhoods? And how do they define their boundaries? And these 2 exhibits here show the result of this survey, which was completed by over 1,300 respondents, which is a really incredible number. You can see on the left is neighborhood centers that are identified throughout the city. So we really feel confident that we got good participation citywide. And then the image on the right shows those centers, but around those is an aggregation of city or neighborhood boundaries that those participants drew. So we hope that we'll be able to take this data and begin to see how places overlap. Next slide. And how those centers are defined. We can see a lot of people just thought of it geographically, that it's in the middle of their neighborhood. But many were thinking more in terms of like, not the geography, but rather their activity centers, places where they shop and get services, or a place that they strongly identify with. These are important concepts, I think, when we go forward with our general plan. We've heard a lot from our respondents that we really need to be organizing, thinking on the neighborhood level. We also were able to ask, what are the important issues? And here you see a ranking that came out of the responses, and clearly at the top level item is everyone's concerned about, it's primarily wildfires, protection from that natural hazard that we've had to deal with, unfortunately, in the last few years. But also, housing is on the minds of everyone. Large percentage indicated that was a big issue we needed to deal with. And you can go down that list. These are topics which we will have to treat equally, but we can see here what's foremost on people's minds. Likewise, so these survey results gave us kind of a picture of what people were thinking, including what is most important that we need to address in our future: solving housing problem, making sure our environment is clean, that we have environmental protection, equity, jobs, and better neighborhoods all fell together. They are super important. Next slide.
All right, so I'll talk a little bit about the vision statements. So this whole process will conclude with a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and City Council. And at that point, we're going to report to them what we've heard from throughout the community, through the boards and commission meetings, and then also through our meetings with different neighborhoods, organizations, and community groups. And so right now we have some draft vision statements for you to react to. And this is really a combination of different words, and the words really represent a different statement, each of them. So we're just going to walk through some of the statements as they're written right now, and these will change to what you'll see going forward to the City Council and Planning Commission based on your input and many others. But the first two words are inclusive and just. So inclusive really representing the opportunity for everyone to be able to be part of government and participate in their community and in the city. And then just representing that environmental justice component, that we really do want to look at the historical perspective of how our communities arrived where they are, and which communities have disproportionate access or impacts related to environmental issues or hazards, and a lack of mobility or other issues. And then healthy and resilient. So healthy, looking beyond the built environment, but really looking to see how those built environment or aspects impact people and their personal health. And then making sure that we do have policies in place to increase the health metrics that we'll be looking at. And then resilient. Resilient has been one of those words that has caused a lot of conversation in our workshop. Some people are very tired of being called resilient, and some people were challenged to understand what it represents. But in this framework, it's really looking at our ability to bounce back from disaster or from any type of challenge that our community experiences. And then prepared and sheltered. So prepared in that same vein, really making sure that we have hardened our city and against hazards, either human caused or natural, and making sure that we are prepared as a city and as a city organization as well. Sheltered, really looking at that concept of housing for all. So creating a mix and a diversity of housing at an affordability that really makes sure that we can keep our local workers here, and residents have an opportunity to be able to purchase or live in our community. And then equitable, making sure that everyone really does have that access. and not just to the built environment, but also our social environment that we want to create here in Santa Rosa. Successful. This is representing a lot of the economic pieces. So making sure that we do have an equitable opportunity for people to engage in our economy, either as a business owner or as a patron, but also that we have adequate places in our city where people can actually cite new businesses, making sure that we're forward thinking about what does that mean? Is retail changing? Is the industrial framework changing? So we do have a market study that will be looking at all those things, but this is really representing that need of our community to continue to be successful. And then connected, representing our ability to be multimodal. So not just in our single occupancy automobile, but making sure that we have transit facilities and bike and pedestrian connections that everyone can circulate throughout our city. Safe and educated. So safe, looking at public safety, but also encouraging people and bolstering neighborhoods to be able to organize themselves and support each other. And then educated, making sure that we have access to education throughout all times of life. So even our seniors, making sure that we have the opportunity and that our policies really represent that. Cultural, making sure that we have the opportunity to really understand and celebrate the culture we have here in Santa Rosa and to be able to provide equity to that component. And then sustainable. So looking at our natural resources, this came out as a very big thing about why people love to live here in Santa Rosa and in Sonoma County is because of our natural resources. So how do we protect those and make them accessible for everyone, whether that be a garden or a regional park or open space? So with that, we can move into a discussion with you all. So there's two questions. And so Chair Weigel, we might want to ask you how you'd like to orient this. The two questions are pretty simple. So we can ask the two questions and you can each discuss what you would like, or we can go question by question. Up to you.
So what we typically do for a project is we'll just go around the horn and give comments on the project. I think we can probably do that here. Just go around the horn on these questions. Each board member will answer the question, and then maybe we'll circle back, and if one answer from somebody triggered something for somebody else, they'll have the opportunity at the end to add an additional thought. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great. And I'm not sure if there's any public on the call, but up to you on when you'd like to do the public comment component also. This has been a challenging piece of going to the boards and commissions because it's not as free form as a normal workshop that we've been convened in, but we do want to provide that opportunity as well.
Well, for the public component, how many questions did you say there were? You just said there's two.
We just have two questions, but we can also just talk about the vision statements themselves. So I can put up the slide with the vision with the words, and we can just stay there as well.
I don't know, Bill, what do you think? I'm thinking maybe we do public comment first on the two questions and then go into the board comments. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I'd recommend. I think we've done that in the past. It usually results in just a more informed discussion with the board. You have the public comment, the benefit of that. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, so I'm gonna read these two questions here, just in case we have members of the public just on the phone as opposed to watching. Question one: what do you like the most, or what inspires you the most about Santa Rosa? That's question one. And then Amy, could you go to question two? What would you change or improve about Santa Rosa in the future? So we'll go. Patty will go to any public comment right now. If there are any members of the public wishing to answer these two questions for us.
Chair Weigel, there are no members of the public. We have 3 staff members, so if any of the staff members would like to jump in. Otherwise, we don't have anybody raising their hands.
Well, then I guess I'll close public comment. That makes it easy. So then we'll circle back and we'll go to question one, I think, and then we'll just we'll go we'll go maybe reverse alphabetical on question 1 and then alphabetical on question 2. And so Henry, that means you get to start on question 1 here once we bring it back up on the screen.
All right, there we go.
Well, at the risk of using that resiliency that I'm sort of tired, I get tired of it because of being in the situation I was in with my house burning down. But I do like the fact that Santa Rosa and the people in Santa Rosa, on whether they had a tragedy or whether they observed somebody that had the tragedy, they all come together and help. And I think that unity and how we make decisions, how this board makes decisions, it's one of the things that I like the most about Santa Rosa and what inspires me to be a Santa Rosan.
Cool. And so we'll go to, I just realized actually Sheila has the last name now with the O there, W-O. But probably good to go to a more seasoned board member first there. Just this is your first meeting. So let's go to Sheila now for her answer to this question.
I think my answer to this question has to be Santa Rosa Junior College. I think it's just this wonderful resource and a jewel that we have right here in the center of Santa Rosa. It's an affordable way for people to get a top-notch education. You can gain wonderful economic opportunities after getting educated, and then it's there for lifelong learning. If I want to take a course right now, I can do that and benefit from it. Plus the grounds are beautiful, so I just love walking around there. So that to me is what I love best about Santa Rosa.
And then we'll go to Board Member McHugh.
Well, what inspires me most about Santa Rosa is that we are all willing to step up to the plate and to donate our resources to help others. And I referenced the last election when, the passage of the various initiatives all were set up to really help people who are a bit disadvantaged and need some help. And so I'm really excited about that. And I look forward to us nurturing that and making that much more present and viable in the documents that we produce, that we pay attention to that.
Cool. Thank you, John. Anything else? Or done? Okay.
I'm good.
All right, we'll go to Michael, Board Member Birch.
Yes. Hey, so I have to say that there's great answers ahead of me, certainly. I am a huge fan of the burgeoning diversity. I was born in Santa Rosa. I love the change that I see around me. And I think my answer to question 2 will highlight some of that. To Board Member Wolski's comment about the Santa Rosa Junior College, I think it is a gem in the middle of the community that pulls together so many elements of the diverse community and impacts what they do. It really, to me, I hadn't thought about the junior college, but it feels like the center of the wheel of what Santa Rosa can be when you really pull all of that, the diverse community, people who have lived here for 50, 60, 70 years, people who have been here for 5 or 6 or 7 months. So I do love the changes that I have seen in my lifetime as Santa Rosa has grown into a multicultural community.
And then I guess it's my turn. Having been compared to Michael, I'm a newbie to Santa Rosa, being here about 5.5 years. And I think for me, having 2 young children, I like the idea that we're an evolving and changing community, and that my kids can see that as the community grows and changes, as different diverse ethnicities, races, cultures move into the area and provide a catalyst for new activities and epicenters for neighborhoods. I think what is different about Santa Rosa as compared to maybe like Marin County, for example, is that we do have a lot of multi-generational families in our community. So we have sort of a level of sustainability built into the growth of our community. Marin is a bit of an aging community in a way. And I think they're going to struggle here in a couple of years to reinvigorate with some youth. And I think we have some diverse businesses and sectors of the market here that allow for kind of this reinvigoration. I think I see it starting to pick up a little bit, particularly with younger folks perhaps moving up here, those sorts of things. So I think that's what gets me most excited about where we can go as a city and where we can grow and pave the way for our county, even perhaps.
Great, thank you so much.
And then we'll go to question 2, and then we'll go back the other way, and we'll start with Michael this time.
Yep. Change or improve about Santa Rosa. I think that the upheaval, civil rights wise, over the past couple of years, not just across the country, but even here in Northern California, in Santa Rosa, we started to recognize some of the work that we have to do. So inclusivity and justice and equitability are really high on my list of things that I would like to see improved. I think that they lead to a broader outcome, and I think one drives the other, and that is around cultural life and cultural activity. I think Santa Rosa rests a little too hard on its wine country image. I believe that there is a lot of room for cultural life outside of wine and food. Those are two of my favorite things to enjoy and appreciate here. But I'd really, really like to be spending more time in cultural activities before or after dinner and a bottle of wine than is available now. And those cultural institutions here in Santa Rosa, they struggle a little. They're still on the level of kind of a festival or a fun family thing, which is awesome. We need that component. But I do think that we need a broader cultural life here. And I return to the point about inclusivity, justice, and equitability. Other cultures that are here in Santa Rosa, we are poised, and Drew, you touched on this, we're poised at a very unique opportunity to reinvent a community that is not about 17 Italian families from 1950 who attended Santa Rosa High School, but about a community that just has a broad base of race, religion, identity, taste, everything across the board. So I really think that cultural advancements, they drive inclusivity, justice, and equitability. And I think that the inclusivity, justice, equitability, and the diversity of our community drives the cultural life. And I hope to see the two really hand in hand become a big part of how Santa Rosa grows as we go forward.
Thanks, Michael. John, you're up.
Well, I think the single biggest change to improve Santa Rosa has to be housing. We have to be able to design and to build and to create housing that is affordable to the vast majority of our citizens. But I'm concerned because when a good housing project comes up, we get a lot of blowback from citizens who are concerned about things like affordable housing. And I'm thinking about Stony Point Flats and the issues that came up around Stony Point Flats, having nothing to do really with design, but very much the fact that they didn't want that development in their neighborhood, and yet that development should be throughout the city. So I think housing is the biggest single nut that we have to crack. And I don't know how the general plan or a sustainable portion of that actually is going to play out. But that's the biggest thing that I think that we have to deal with. And so that's what housing is the thing that we have to, that's my thing. That's the thing, the single biggest thing that I think we have to work on.
Thanks, John. No, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Sheila, you're up.
I also agree that housing is a major issue, and I think I'll get a little personal in that there's a lot of things with housing that affect quality of life. So previously, my family lived in the JC neighborhood, and we could very easily walk over to what I'll call a neighborhood center. I don't know exactly how it's defined with Santa Rosa Forward, but I could get milk. I could get really anything I want. I could get a little slice of pizza, and that really changed our quality of life, our family's quality of life. It made it much more healthy. Prior to that, we were living out in Rincon Valley, and anytime we wanted to go into town, it was this 15, 20-minute car ride. So, in the context of offering housing, which is desperately needed, if there are opportunities for little commercial centers, and I'm not talking about a power center or anything like that, but opportunities for the neighborhood to gather for that neighborhood, or maybe a few others, where they don't have to get in a car and drive to services. To me, that's ideal, and that makes a community.
Cool. Thank you very much, Sheila. Henry?
Great answers. Tough to follow, but I'm gonna hit on a nuts and bolts thing. I'm for years I've been bothered by our city being divided in two by a freeway 101 and a mall. And I go back to Rudat from 1995 when I was a very young. I don't even think I was licensed quite yet when that happened. But one of the changes that was suggested out of that meeting was a reunification of our downtown and not have a west half and an east half. And I would love to see some solutions brought forward for uniting those two, even and since it's a general plan and we're all talking beautiful things that could happen to the city of Santa Rosa, I would love to see it undergrounded. And I know there's a civil engineering firm that ran the feasibility of doing that. And while it would be expensive, I think it would be the crowning achievement to reunite our city.
Cool. Thanks, Henry. Gosh, this is hard. I've lived all over the U.S. And so for me, there's no one single thing, unfortunately. Everybody's touched on something that I think I would 100% agree with. Housing, connectivity of our city, right? There are a lot of cities in the U.S. that are divided, bifurcated, really, by interstates and highways. Atlanta, it's got a big giant thing running through it. Dallas is another example of a large city that's just got an interstate slicing it. So I think the way that I might answer this is I think we need to be, as cheesy as it sounds, Santa Rosa forward, is we need to be forward thinking about the ways that we develop our city. And so I think, like Sheila said, having community gathering locations within our housing elements, good development doesn't separate housing from businesses or housing from schools. That integrates them all together. And we've kind of got the fabric of two of those things in Santa Rosa. We have kind of the town planning mentality and on many levels, where we have schools close to grocery stores, close to housing, close to businesses. But then we also have kind of the other piece, which is the suburban development component, which would be where we have housing separated from groceries and schools and businesses. And so I think as we start to develop and we look at this general plan, you know, we've got an urban growth boundary that's been defined for a long time that is the city limits, right? So how do we engage nodes of activity or nodes of services for all of our housing? And I think we need to start looking at ways to bring mixed use development to those areas that incorporate all of these elements. I think it's gonna be a bold action on the city's part to perhaps develop an EIR for these areas so that a developer doesn't have to do that. They can come in and the 500 units of housing are approved for this area, and they grab a lump of 150 and build that with the mixed use and the infrastructure improvements, right? I think, you know, Long Beach has proven that can work in some areas. So I think that to me is how we can improve, is we really need to be smart about the way that we increase the density of our city, and we can't do it piecemeal. So we need to be a tactic through both the zoning and also really laying out plans for these areas that we're concerned about how they're going to grow and what they're going to need and what types of housing or services that they'll require. So I think, do we want to go back through the board one more time, just if anybody has any additional thoughts on these two questions based on what everybody said, and then we'll maybe turn it back over to Supervising Planner Lyle and see what else she'd like to talk with us about. Does that sound good to everybody? We'll go back through the list here. So I'd like to start with Sheila this time. Any additional thoughts?
I think I'm good for now. Thank you.
Henry?
Yeah, just a quick footnote on what I you know, a far-fetched idea. And Drew, you pointed out a lot of successful cities that do get sliced in half and bifurcated from each other. But I just remind that in Phoenix, they did the Papago Freeway Tunnel, and it helped reunite the downtown of Phoenix. So if it carries any traction and hopefully in 2050, people will see the wisdom. And it's not wisdom that I've come up with. It's a group that came in and evaluated our city many years ago and made that suggestion. And they also suggested that we reunite the square, and that happened. So, you know, you get a vision on something that would drastically change our city, and you hang on to it, and over time, maybe it can come true.
Cool. Thanks, Henry. John?
Well, I like the idea of what you said regarding you know, an EIR on a area of the city or something where the developer doesn't have to do that, and it makes it easier for that developer to pencil out housing and community improvements and that sort of thing. So I'm very supportive of that, and I would like to the planning department, and as you put this together, really start to think about that in real creative ways, so that we can get housing on the table and build these kind of communities. I think that would be really important.
Cool. Thanks, John. And then we'll go to Michael.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on John and really Board Member Wolski and Henry a little bit too. On housing, I was part of workshops around the planning for the abandonment of the Caltrans right-of-way for Highway 12 on the east side of town several years ago now, I guess. And I think that what John points out is the difficulty, and I made comments last week, the difficulty of getting neighborhoods to accept affordable housing as a critical piece of their own life here in Santa Rosa. And that process has to move east. So the idea of EIRs for certain places and areas that would allow for that affordable housing to be built in the east, the west, the north, and the south is really important. I have really always thought that the concentration of where affordable projects are being built is not pointing toward any kind of, as Board Member Wolski said, quality of life in Rankin Valley would improve dramatically with some mixed use projects that brought some resources to neighborhoods. So anyway, across the board, I think everybody touched on a little bit of the housing element. I want to make sure that I would love to see that the new general plan in Santa Rosa Forward really encourage the opportunities for that housing to be built, not just south and west, not just west of 101 and south of 12. I would love to see it be encouraged and be available and give developers the opportunity to do that work everywhere. So.
Thanks so much. And I guess one final thing that I might add is I would love to see just diversity in the types of things that we build. I think I also get really frustrated as a local architect when the architect from San Diego gets brought in. I think it'd be nice to have our local guys figure it out, because I think we know more about our community, and I don't know how we would do that within the confines of development, but it might be nice.
Great, those are all great comments. So I'm just going to move through some conclusions here. So we're documenting all of this, and Andy, if you want, I can give you the next steps discussion, but I did want to note that we do have a new survey out with similar questions that we've talked to you all about tonight. So please go to our website. We've got a link to it directly from our websites in English and Spanish. And please share that with your community and people that you know would like to comment on these same words and just provide that same level of feedback. We want to give everyone a front row seat to being able to shape the goals and what we want for the city. And for next steps, Andy, did you want to talk about what's happening next? You're muted.
Thank you, Amy. I think it's worth saying we're continuing with, I think what Amy called it, a roadshow to the end of this month. And then we will be presenting at the joint study session at Planning Commission and Council on the 20th of July. So that'll be a discrete step completed in the project, but the visioning doesn't stop. I would say we'll have a informed statement that will then help us in the next phase in developing the land use, circulation, mobility alternatives. And those will be prepared, informed by the vision statements. And we hope to be able to bring those out to the public for review in the fall. And at that time, I envision we will be going back to groups, to committees, to city boards and commissions, and getting feedback on that. And I look forward to those conversations. We will really be seeing tangible plans in front of us, and we'll be able to roll up our sleeves and have focused conversation. I love the idea about it, creating active nodes, places where people can gather in neighborhoods. That is a common theme that we've heard in these meetings. So these comments, yours and the ones we received for the last 2 months, will be summarized and cast into a form that will be presented on the 20th. Stay tuned, stay involved. Thank you so much for your service on the Design Review Board. You are engaged in a part of the city's development process. That's really important. I'm very encouraged by the comments that I heard tonight. And please bookmark our santarosaforward.com website. Go there if you have questions. Direct anybody that you encounter that might want to learn more to the website, or have them call us or send us an email. We would love to engage them in conversation. And then I'll make a shameless plug for our Community Advisory Committee. We are constantly looking for people who are interested to serve. And if you know somebody in your work or colleagues, friends that might be interested to join us to help give input, have them contact us, and we always have openings, and I think it's going to be a kind of group where we will see people coming and joining the CAC over this now 2.5 year remaining on our project. Thank you for hearing us this evening, and look forward to the next time we meet.
Thanks, Andy. Do we have anything else to cover, Amy and Andy, or was that pretty much it? Just want to make sure.
That was great.
Okay,
Yeah, so
awesome.
we're documenting everything, and we're good.
Awesome. So then I think that's it, unless Bill, you have anything else, or you want to move towards adjournment, or?
No, I don't have anything else. Thank you all for the comments. Those were great. Yeah, as we indicated, we took good notes, so thank you. And no, I'm looking at the agenda. I think we're at item 9. Turn it over to you, Drew.
Cool. Thanks so much. Thanks very much, Andy. Without further ado, that concludes our regular scheduled design review board meeting. And so I will call us adjourned, and we'll see you guys next month. Have a good one.